What's good, Wizards fans? It's your host, the real Ed Oliver. We're going to recap the Wizards versus Clips game and then talk about a couple roster moves the Wizards made and then preview the game for Monday night. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150. If your bet wins, visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. All right, so it's just me tonight, solo dolo. Brandon most likely will be back tomorrow night for the game against the Utah Jazz. He is under the weather, so hoping for a speedy recovery. He was not able to do a flu game performance tonight, but he most likely will be back. He is on the injury report for tonight, so just hoping a speedy recovery for our guy Brandon. But yeah, we're gonna recap this Clippers game real quick. Not much to really talk about. I think the game that there was really a lot to talk about was that Lakers game. I was not on the show to recap the Lakers game, but the Lakers game I was happy with somewhat of the performance because they were competitive on the road in LA. They did accomplish the terrible accomplishment of losing every game in February. And right now, I want to say the Wizards do have the worst record in the NBA, and they do have the best lottery odds at this point. Yes, they are tied with the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons are 9-50. They're on their way to lose tonight against the Orlando Magic. So they're going to be 9-51 as well, where we're 9-51. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Wizards went winless in March as well. But I thought the Lakers game, they fought hard. They could have won that game. They really had a good chance to win that game once against Kyle Kuzma shoots a step back three or a side step three and ill-advised shot at the end. And they lose that game. Jordan Poole played really well with 34 points. Kuzma had 20 points. So I'm just going to talk about the Lakers game just super quick and then get into the Clippers game. But it went down to the wire. That overtime, it was a defensive struggle in that overtime. And then LeBron hits a big shot. Bagley had 23 in that game. Kuz with 20, Denny with 15 and 15 boards. He had a really strong first half where he was out there knocking down threes. Tyus Jones with 11 assists. Corey Kispert with 20 points. Rashawn Holmes with 7 points. But they just couldn't put it together down the stretch there. So just disappointing shot selection down the stretch in the end of the game, where it certainly was a winnable game. And it just shows that Jordan Poole is just better as a sixth man. That's just his best role. And you're just going to get a lot of inconsistent games from him. You're going to have a new game where he goes nuclear against the Cavs, where he has 30 points. And then you might have a game where he has 6 points and he goes 2 for 12 from the field. And that's just who he is. And I think we have to realize that. But he is just better suited to come off the bench. He's just better coming off the bench. He has the ball in his hands more. He gets to see how the game flow is going. He goes up against second units as well. That's better. So lesser defenses. And once he gets heated up, once he heats up coming off the bench, he's just a microwave scorer. And it's just less pressure for him, I feel like, rather than him being the starter. And I just think he's kind of in that group of guys like Nick Young, Jordan Clarkson, guys like that just coming off the bench. Lou Williams, I think that's just who he is. And he's not – I think we learned that he's not a franchise guy, where before the season started, there were questions like, could he be a franchise guy? Could he be a leader? And I think we're just finding out where his niche is in the league, where he's just a legitimate scorer, where he's going to take some good shots. He's going to take some bad shots, some tough contested shots. That's just his game. He's a tough shot maker, a tough shot creator as well, a good creator getting to the basket and whatnot, crossovers, dribble moves, step backs, in and outs, tween, cross. That's what you get from Jordan Poole. And he had a good night against the Lakers, so it was unfortunate that a great scoring night for him turned out to be a loss. Now, the Clippers game, not much to talk about in that one. Got out-rebounded. They just looked overmatched in that game. A lot of dunks by the Clippers. Daniel Tice, Kawhi Leonard had a couple putbacks. Terrence Mann had a putback dunk. Norman Powell alley-oop dunk. They just looked overmatched. It looked like kind of like a varsity versus JV team. to be honest, in that game. And I mean, the Clippers are a good team. Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook got injured in the game, and early in the game fractured his hand. But yeah, they just looked overmatched. And I do want to talk about Johnny a little bit in that Lakers game where he missed a couple layups. He just looked like he was not ready to play, unfortunately. Confidence down, and you see some of the flaws in his game right now. Where coming out of Wisconsin, where he would have finished that, I just feel like his confidence has really dropped. Where we're not even talking about making a jumper. It's about making layups now, and Johnny's not even making layups. He had he had a reverse layup he missed. Then he had another layup going to the basket where he was just a little out of control. He missed that pretty badly, where it went off the side of the rim, almost just off the backboard. Missed a layup in transition as well. So he's just got to settle down, calm down. And the only way you get better is by playing. That's just my take on Johnny. Is he not playing well? No, he's not playing well. Is he playing with confidence? No, he's not. But you got to gain the confidence, and he's got to get playing time. He's getting play. Keith is starting to give him some playing time. But you got to make layups. I can't vouch for you if you're out there missing layups. I don't, struggling from the 3-point line. That's a work in progress. His jumper, he's changed his jumper now. The Wizards have changed his jumper 3 or 4 times now since he's been here. But you got to make layups. And if you're not making layups, then it's kind of like the Wizards, they may have to move on and waive him, like how the Hornets waived James Bouknight, the Pistons waived Killian Hayes. RJ Hampton got waived too from one of his previous teams, and we're going to talk about RJ Hampton a little bit because he just got signed on a 10-day. But yeah, like I said, I'm rooting for Johnny, but you got to help me out, man. You got to make your layups. You got to do that at least. That's the bare minimum. You got to make your layups. So that's what I got from the Lakers game. The Clippers game, James Harden went nuclear in that second quarter. He took over. He had 15, 20 points in the second quarter. He took over. We lost that second quarter, and the Clippers never looked back. They never looked back. And the Clippers, they took their starters out really in the early fourth quarter, and the Wizards waved the white flag, which is understandable. Jared Butler had a good showing in that game. He had 8.7 assists, 3 for 6 from the field. So in 15 minutes. So he was super productive in 15 minutes. I really like what I saw from Jared Butler. So he's a guy that they certainly should keep around that has potential in the league, has that championship pedigree with Baylor. And he's a good player, man. He can get to the paint too. I like that too, how he can put pressure on the defense. And he's getting more confidence. He's getting better game by game. So that's the one positive I really got from the Clippers game. Bagley with a double-double, Kuzma with the 32 points. He had a nice dunk on Daniel Tice, but it just wasn't enough. 13 for 19 from the field. Denny with 14, 5 and 5. Tyus with only 2 points and 9 assists. Not Tyus' best game offensively. 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. And Eugene with 8 points. Corey with 9 points. And Jordan Poole with 16 points off of 15 shots. So not his best showing against the Clippers as well. So like I said, they really just got overmatched. And the Clippers just show that they're the better team. I mean, they're on a mission to make the playoffs. And they didn't play around with the Wizards. They shot 40% from the 3-point line, 19 for 25 from the free throw line, 49 rebounds to our 39. And the largest lead for them was 28. Our largest lead was 6 points. So that was the recap in LA and La La Land. And they finished, like I said, they finished out the month of February winless. And right now, I mean, we all know what the goal is to get the best lottery position, the best draft position, and the Wizards are certainly doing that right now. So, all right, we're going to talk about some of the roster moves. Not big roster moves, but they are important. Whether it's a 10-day contract or a 2-way contract, I think every move is certainly important for the future. You just never know. You've seen guys on 2 ways play really well on other teams. You look at Austin Reeves for the Lakers. He was on a 2-way deal. He's playing really well. There's so many guys that were on 2 ways that I talked about on one episode earlier this year that have really, really, really transcended in the league and have really made a name for themselves in the NBA for sure. I'm trying to find a history of 2-way guys like Alex Caruso. He was a 2-way player. Jordan Goodwin was a 2-way player. He's playing pretty well. You see how the Heat, they always make good players out of their 2-way players. and they always play they always develop really nice in the league. So I really want to see us do that and make the most out of our two-way contract guys. And I think we can certainly start doing that with some of the guys that we're starting to bring in here. So but before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOnNBA and Locked On and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. I have a pick for tomorrow night. Whatever, they haven't put the lines out for tomorrow night, but it's tough. I would go Colin Sexton over on his points, but Colin Sexton kind of coasted last game. John Collins took the game really seriously last time he played the Wizards when the Wizards played the Jazz. I think John Collins, he does a really good job. Every time he plays the Wizards, he cooks the Wizards. So I would take the over on his points, rebounds, and assists. I think John Collins, and I might even look at John Collins double-double against the Washington Wizards as well. Always take the big man on the other team, even though they got Lauri Markkanen as well. Always look at the big man, the other team's big man, the opposing center or power forward, to go over on their points and rebounds or just points in general. So that is my take, or that will be my FanDuel pick of the day for the Washington Wizards versus Jazz game. Also, guys, make sure you guys check out the Locked On Sports Network. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels at Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. All right, so let's talk about some of the roster moves here. I did get the press release email from the Wizards PR. Excuse me. They signed Julian Champagne to a two-way contract, and they signed RJ Hampton to a 10-day contract. Julian Champagne, he was on a 10-day contract. Now he's on the two-way contract, so he will be spending time in the G League and on the team as well. He did get a couple minutes this weekend and a couple let me see how much he played. He played 7 minutes. And when the game was out of hand, went 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 2 from the three-point line. He had a really good summer league with the Spurs. I loved his athleticism, his explosiveness. He played really, really well in the summer league with the Spurs. I like what I saw. I like his versatility, his wingspan, his length, and all that. I think he has potential in this league to be a solid rotational player for sure. So I really like the signing of Julian Champagne on a two-way contract. Let's see if he can be converted to a full contract. Now, they did convert Eugene Omoruyi from the two-way contract to a full contract. So congrats to him. I know some people were up in arms about it, didn't like it because, he's 27, 28 years old. You usually want to see a younger guy on the two-way converted to a full contract. That's typically what you see. You usually don't see a 27, 28-year-old guy, but he has the familiarity with Will Dawkins with OKC. Did a good job with Detroit, and you need more physicality. Eugene brings that. He brings energy, physicality, 8 points against the Clippers. No boards, though, no assists, but 8 points. He's a bulldog. He can shoot the three a little bit, too. He can stretch the floor. He's kind of an undersized 4, undersized 5, kind of like a Trevor Booker, if you will, or a Jason Maxill. Just not as explosive as Jason Maxill, but I love the way that Eugene plays, and he's not scared to go out there and defend and play with some physicality. We don't have a lot of physicality on this team. We haven't had a lot of physicality on this team in the last couple of years, and just athleticism and explosiveness, and I think Eugene does bring some of that. But like I said, the only knock is just that he's an undersized big, but he plays hard, and he's kind of a jack of all trades kind of guy too. So, and I like the way he plays with a lot of energy. He brings a lot of energy. He brings intensity and energy to the floor. So let's see if he can carve out. He's had some good games in his career. He's had some legitimate good games with the Pistons before, and some really good games with the Thunder as well before the Wizards picked him up. So Champagne, and then RJ Hampton. He's a guy that was waived. He was the 24th pick of the draft. He did not play college ball, but he played, overseas, and then he came over, played in the NBA. He's kind of struggled here and there. He's gotten waived, and you look at his numbers over the years, and he averaged like 1 point a game basically every year he's been in the league. He's averaging 1 point a game in his career right now. He actually averaged 6 points a game in his rookie season at age 19. He's just so young. Orlando, he averaged 11 points a game in 26 games. 2022, he averaged 7 points a game. And then 2023, he averaged 6 points a game. And then he was on 3 teams. He was on Orlando and Detroit. Then he went to Miami in 2024, averaged 1 point a game. So he's showing some flashes where he averaged 11 points a game in Orlando for 26 games in that 2021 season. Only 22 years old, and put up some good numbers. Put up about 12 points a game in the G League. So he has potential. 6'4", 175 pounds, appeared in 8 games for the Miami Heat this season while on a 2-way contract, averaging 1 point and 1 assist per game. He has played in 15 total NBA G League games this season with the Sioux Falls and Capital City Go-Go, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. He was acquired via trade by the Go-Go on February 14th, and most recently scored 24 points on 6 of 7 shooting from the 3-point range with 7 rebounds in the Capital City win on March 1st. So let's see if we can get the best out of RJ Hampton if he can play. Let's see if these guys, what happens. Like, are they going to get more playing time than Johnny Davis? Johnny had 24 minutes against the Clippers. And like I said, Brian Keefe, he's trying to give Johnny minutes now, which I like. 24 minutes is a good amount of minutes for Johnny. He ended up with 2 points against the Clippers, 1 for 4 from the field. Just want to see more aggression from Johnny. But Champagne, you're going to see aggression from him. He doesn't shy away from taking shots. RJ Hampton, same thing. He doesn't shy away from taking shots. He's very aggressive as well. So I want to see these guys get an opportunity. Same thing with Jared Butler. Like, we got to find guys that we can develop some hidden gems, some diamonds in the rough there. And maybe one of these guys can pan out to be a good rotational player. So we'll see how that works out. But I have no problem with converting Eugene to a regular contract. I've seen some people disagree with that move because of the age. But I'm fine with the move for right now. So, all right. But we're going to get into the Jazz preview and then get into some comments here. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. It's demon time on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. PrizePicks is America's number one sports app with over 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play. DFS is just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Want to play alongside with some PrizePicks favorite players like rapper Meek Mill, and comedian Andrew Schultz. I won't talk too much about Meek Mill right now, but you can now find community players under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. Demons and Goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play at PrizePicks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Player and stat types you're selected. So check out PrizePicks. Like I said, I'm giving you guys a pick already. John Collins, whatever line they set up, I'm taking over on it. John Collins, mark it down right now. Collins Sexton is a guy to look at too. And then Corey Kispert, I would take a look at him too. And probably take the over his points. And this week on PrizePicks, so those are the 2 picks I'm taking tomorrow night. Probably taking a look at John Collins, probably taking a look at Corey Kispert as well. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, here. So let's look at some of these comments, and then we'll do a quick preview for the Jazz game as well. So not a lot of comments tonight. Here, I just got to take a quick drink of water here. Locked on Law says undersized 4s and undersized 5s on our Wizards tradition. Yeah, we didn't have a big man really. I mean, we had Gafford and that's it this season. Other than that, it was like Muscala. He's not a 5 really, and then we had Gallinari. He's not a 5. Kuzma's had to play the 5 a little bit here and there. Denny sometimes, but yeah, Bagley is really an undersized 5. He's not like a prototypical center, but he's super athletic. So, I mean, yeah, we've had a lot of undersized 4s and 5s. For sure with the Washington Wizards. Big J52 says, I like RJ. He really caught caught in a COVID situation in the league, underdeveloped, but I think he's better skilled than Johnny Davis. Yeah, right now, I think a couple guys may pass Johnny Davis. I mean, Champagne has an opportunity to do it. And RJ Hampton, if he gets playing time, Eugene kind of is already past Johnny, but Eugene's older. So, maybe I'm not going to make any excuses for Johnny right now. Jules Bernard is a guy, too, to take a look at. He can shoot the three. He can knock down the three. So you see him on their developmental program. What can they get out of Jules Bernard? Unfortunately, and then Pat Baldwin, I haven't really seen much from him. He's bouncing back and forth from the G League. I haven't seen him play in a couple games, so it's kind of been an interesting situation with Pat Baldwin Jr. So far. But Hamidou Diallo is a guy that I really, really, really want to see play, man, because he would bring some athleticism and some explosiveness to this roster that they really need. Like, they need that. They need somebody that can rebound. They need guys that can rebound. Of course, Marvin Bagley's been doing a good job, but they need guys to rebound for sure, and just some explosiveness and play above the rim. And I think that would be a great addition to the team to move Hamidou Diallo to a full contract. I would do that. Looking at Hamidou, he's about 25 years old. He was one of the best finishers in the game last year with the Pistons. Like, he finishes above the rim, finishes through contact. So I mean, I would love to see Hamidou Diallo get some legitimate playing time and play. So yeah, just looking at some of the two-way contracts, just looking at the history. Jose Alvarado, Lou Dort was on a two-way, Austin Reeves, Caleb Martin, Alex Caruso. So those are some of the guys that I talked about before that have worked out. So you can't sleep. Naz Reid was on a two-way contract. Gary Payton II was on a two-way. Gary Payton II was on a two-way with the Wizards. We let him walk, go to the Warriors. Guess what? He won a championship with the Warriors. And the rest is history. Max Strus was on a two-way. Christian Wood was on a two-way contract. Christian Wood has carved out a good career so far. And I want to say Sam Hauser for the Celtics, who was a knockdown shooter. He was on a two-way contract. And you look at the Heat, they just love using guys that were on a two-way. Chris Boucher with the Raptors, he was on a two-way contract as well. So you guys get the point on two-way contracts. Just don't sleep on those guys. See what they can do. And, especially the position that we're a team that's not looking to win a lot of games. So just develop guys as much as you can. A guy that I really wanted to bring in was Trey Mann. He's on the Thunder. We weren't able to trade for him, but that's a guy that I kind of wanted to see brought in on the developmental process there. So we'll see what some of these guys can do. So let's look at some more comments here. Locked on Law says Johnny Davis is making it way too easy to cut him. Yeah. And somebody put up a blooper reel of the Wizards, like missing layups and making turnovers. Like, there were some moments in that game where I think it was Rashawn Holmes had an inbound pass to Jordan Poole. He threw it out of bounds. It was like, what's going on, guys? It's Shaq in the full moments. Stuff like that happens, and you're just not going to win a lot of games. And they clearly haven't won a lot of games this season. Johnny Davis is making it way too easy to cut him. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's not alone. I brought up James Bouknight, who was waived. Kai Jones, first-round pick, who was waived from the Hornets. Kelly Hayes, they ended up waiving him. So we've unfortunately seen a lot of first-round picks just end up getting waived and not even traded. Jerome Robinson was traded from the Clippers, but he's no longer on that team. He's on the Warriors on the end of the bench, but he's still in the league. The thing with Johnny, like, I just want to see him given a chance. I want to see him given a shot. But at the same time, it's just like he's not showing much to deserve more playing time. Like, the one thing that you cannot tolerate is missed layups. You got to make your layups. You just have to, whether it's through contact. Like, when you're open like that, you have to find a way to make layups. And like I said, coming out of Wisconsin, he was a really good finisher. So he just has regressed ever since he's gotten to the league, and it's unfortunate. And his game has not translated. He's a mid-range shooter. He's a tough shot maker. So a lot of the weaknesses or improvement areas that people were concerned about, is kind of just showing up. You look at his first game of summer league, not getting separation, not being able to get by guys. And, he's just struggling right now. I'm rooting for Johnny. Maybe the last 20 games of the season, like how last year when they sat Bill, they sat Porzingis, they sat Kuzma, They may do that for like the last 20 games of the year. They may sit Kuzma, just have him sit. Maybe Jordan Poole, have him sit some other guys, just let them sit and just let some of the young guys play. They may do something like that where they had like Quentin Jackson out there. He was playing a bunch. Jordan Good was playing a bunch for like the last 10 games of the year. And that it may be that. But that kind of situation with Johnny Davis where he can just play mistake-free, just let him play and just see what happens from there. Well, honestly, like I said, it's hard to see Johnny in the future here. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. Your 10th pick of the draft. It's unfortunate. And like I said, these guys did not draft him. Will Dawkins did not draft him, so they don't really have any ties to him. They're not too invested in developing him from what I see. So that's just my take on Johnny right now. Real Clip says RJ has to get minutes over Dave. Johnny, I would not be surprised. I just wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I do want to see what RJ Hampton can do. RJ Hampton's been super inconsistent as well. He's been a guy that, his career has not panned out in the first round, but he's super talented. The talent is there for sure. Deron Daniel says in the end, our defense was really bad against the Clippers. They cannot stop James Harden, which is, James Harden is a heck of a player. Kawhi Leonard, same thing. Paul George, heck of a player. They just have a lot of horses on the Clippers. They're a loaded roster. All right, let's see here. The unknown ism, can or should the Wizards buy out Jordan Poole? They're not going to do that. They want to trade him. At the end of the day, they want to trade him. They want to build up his value to trade him. This is his first year. He's starting to play out better off the bench. So, if he can continue that, for the rest of the season, bring him back next year, continue to play well off the bench, then maybe you can get, I don't even think a first-round pick anymore. So, I don't think you get a first-round pick for Jordan Poole. You load up on some seconds and a solid player. I think that's your best bet for trading Jordan Poole next year, before the trade deadline next year. All right, let's see here. Locked on Law, yeah, and that is what $103 million up on Jordan Poole's contract. No way to buy him out. I don't see that happening at all. Last comment here, and then the Jazz. Looking at the Jazz, let me bring up some of their numbers and stats here. They have a deep team too. They haven't won a lot of games, but they have a deep team. They have a lot of talent on their roster. Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Kelly Olynyk, Walker Kessler, John Collins. Like, I like their team. Keontae George, that's a guy that I really like coming out of the draft. I like him a lot. He really fits the prototype of guys that I like. I like guys that are just bucket getters that can just score. And he's had a really, really good rookie year. He's just a tough guy out of Baylor as well. I really like Keontae George coming out. I was a big fan of his. And he's had a darn good rookie season so far. Taylor Horton Tucker's on the roster. Chris Dunn, another guy that was kind of I don't think he was on a two-way, but he was on our G League team. We never brought him up. That was just an odd thing that they did. Here, I thought they should have kept him, Chris Dunn. But they let him walk, and he went to the Jazz, and he's never looked back. And he's played really well. He's a guy that struggled too. Like, he was the 5th pick of the draft, just struggled. And maybe Johnny Davis can happen like that, like that for another team. I just don't see it working out here for Johnny. Maybe he can have a Chris Dunn type of ascension where he goes to the G League, another team brings him up, and he plays really well defensively and just carves out a niche in the league as a good defensive player and just a mid-range guy, good rebounder, good passer, Josh Hart-like kind of guy. Excuse me. The Jazz like to run their 9th in pace. They rebound the ball really, really well. It makes sense for John Collins, Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Olynyk. They have really good rebounders. They're 3rd in total rebounds, 8th in assists, 7th in blocks. Kessler is a heck of a shot blocker. John Collins can block shots, but they turn the ball over a lot. They're 30th in turnovers, 10th in points. Right now, 3-point percentage, they're 18th. I'm sorry, they're 24th at 3-point percentage, so they don't shoot the 3 ball well. And defensively, they're 26th in defensive rating, so they're not a great defensive team at all. But they rebound the ball really, really well. So that's one thing. We got to gain rebound. I want to see one of their last games here, how they played, and because I want to see who was out tomorrow on their roster. But they're a talented team, man. The record doesn't show it, 27-34, so they're not going to make the playoffs. But they've had some good showings here here. They're on a 3-game losing streak right now. They lost it. They hit 126 to 120. And they got guys that can fill it up. Keontae George had 31 points against a tough Miami Heat team. John Collins had 18 and 6. Taylor Hendricks, the rookie. Wow, he's playing. I didn't know he was playing. Taylor Hendricks, the rookie out of UCF. I liked him too. Coming out in the draft, 8 points and 13 boards. Colin Sexton with 18. Keontae George with 31. He had 6 threes. And Omer Year 7, who went to Georgetown, 7 points. And Taylor Horton Tucker has 7 points. So Walker Kessler most likely will not be playing. Kelly Olynyk most likely will not be playing as well. Chris Dunn had 0 points in 10 minutes. So Lauren Markkinen had 25 and hit 4 threes. So they really got to defend the 3-point line because they got guys that can shoot the lights out for sure. Like Jordan Clarkson didn't play either. So the Wizards are getting a break. This might be a game that they win. This is a winnable game. I'm gonna say that. This is actually I don't see them winning, but this is a winnable game. I'll say that. I will say that this is a winnable game. I want to see what injury that Kelly Olynyk has here. He's actually on the Raptors. I'm sorry, I kept saying like Kelly Olynyk, but he got traded. He got traded to the Toronto Raptors. I wanted to make sure I got that correct before I wrap it up. But let's see. There's a couple more comments, but yeah, Olynyk got traded. Yes, Sweater's face. He got traded. He did get traded. He got traded to the Jazz, and they traded Simone. The guy's last name, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his last name, but they traded Simone. He was a shooter for the Jazz, and they ended up trading him. 50% pay. Locked On says, yeah, we need those 400 second-round picks. We have 4 more first-round picks. But I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Make sure you guys make Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notification bell. See you guys tomorrow night, recapping the Jazz game late night. Hail to the Wizards. Peace.